Hey everyone, welcome back to It's Just QueenB's Thoughts. I'm your host, QueenB, and always, I'm so grateful to have you here with me today. In our last episode, we talked about the importance of forgiveness and recovery, how forgiving yourself and others plays a huge role in healing. But today, we're going to explore another key aspect of recovery that often gets overlooked: community. Recovery can feel like a lonely journey at times, but the truth is, we aren't meant to do it alone. Having a strong support system, whether it's friends, family, or a recovery group, can make all the difference in staying on track and feeling understood. In this episode, I'll be sharing my personal experiences with finding community during recovery, how those connections help me grow, and why it's so important to surround yourself with people who truly understand what you're going through. So let's dive in. Before I talk about the power of community, I want to reflect on something many of us who've struggled with addiction have felt: loneliness. Addiction has this way of isolating you from the world. Whether it's because of the shame, the secrecy, or just the way addiction warps your relationships, it often leaves you feeling like no one truly understands what you're going through. During my addiction, I pushed a lot of people away. I didn't want them to see the worst parts of me. I convinced myself that I was better off handling things alone. But the reality is, addiction thrives in isolation. The more you isolate yourself, the harder it is to break the cycle. I know this now, but at the time, I felt like I had no one. It wasn't until I started my recovery journey that I realized how crucial it was to have support. In the beginning, I didn't want to reach out. I was scared of being judged, scared that people wouldn't understand what I was going through. But as I opened myself up to the idea of community, I found a group of people who had walked similar paths and were on the same journey towards healing. Finding a group of people who understand the complexities of addiction, people who've been there and know how hard it is to recover, was life-changing for me. Suddenly, I didn't feel so alone anymore. I found my tribe, people who didn't judge me for my past, who didn't look down on me for my struggles, but who supported me as I tried to rebuild my life. The truth is, the recovery community is full of people who want to see you win. They know what it's like to hit rock bottom, and they know what it takes to climb back up. That kind of understanding is invaluable. One of the biggest benefits of being part of a recovery community is accountability. When you're going through recovery alone, it's easy to let things slide. Maybe you skip a therapy session, or you're tempted to relapse because no one's checking in on you. But when you have a group of people who are invested in your recovery, you're less likely to fall back into old habits. For me, having people I could talk to when I was struggling made a world of difference. Whether it was friends who'd gone through similar things, or mentors in recovery, they were there to remind me why I started this journey in the first place. They encouraged me on days when I felt like giving up, and they held me accountable when I was tempted to backslide. Recovery is hard, and having a community around you can be the extra push you need to keep going when things get tough. Now, while community is important, it's also crucial to recognize that not everyone in your life is going to support your recovery in the way that you need. Sometimes you have to set boundaries with people who aren't good for your healing, and that's okay. For me, rebuilding relationships with family and friends was tricky. Some people from my past didn't understand my journey and couldn't offer the kind of support that I needed. Others were stuck in their own cycles of addiction or negative behavior, and I had to distance myself from them. But then there were the people who showed up for me in ways I never expected. Friends who stood by me even during my worst days. Family members who helped me rebuild my life. Those relationships became part of my community too, and they played a huge role in my recovery. So what if you're listening to this and thinking, I don't have a community yet? It's never too late to find or build your support network. It might start with joining a recovery group, reaching out to an old friend, or even finding an online community. What's important is that you don't try to do this alone. Recovery is hard enough without adding isolation to the mix. Even if it feels uncomfortable at first, take that step to connect with others. You'll be surprised how much easier the journey feels when you're not walking it by yourself. Remember, community doesn't have to be huge. It's about quality, not quantity. If you have just one or two people who support you unconditionally, who understand your journey, that's enough. Those are the relationships that will help you stay grounded and keep moving forward. As we wrap up this episode, I want to remind you that you don't have to go through recovery alone. Finding a community, whether big or small, can be the difference between struggling in silence and thriving in your healing journey. Surround yourself with people who understand, who hold you accountable, and who cheer you on every step of the way. In the next episode, we'll talk about self-compassion and why it's so important to be gentle with yourself during the ups and the downs of recovery. But for now, thank you for joining me today, and I hope this episode has inspired you to reach out and connect with others. Until next time, stay strong, stay connected, and remember, you don't have to do this alone.